Hi guys, so we're going to be showing off Peasant today, which is the first class that we're going to be revealing for the Crossroads Evian season 3. We're also going to be really quickly addressing things regarding EU shipping and like how logistics has panned out. I just wanted to talk about that with you guys pretty quickly. So just to clarify, like the situation for those of you who aren't in the loop, we have a season 2 Kickstarter that launched last year, and we're still fulfilling for that, which isn't great because people who want to play season 2 don't have it yet, so they haven't been able to try it. They haven't been able to experience the new classes and specs, which kind of sucks if you're thinking about it from that perspective. Regarding backing season 3 now. So we recognize that that's not fun. We don't like that either. We would prefer that everyone had their hands on season 2 before we jumped into season 3. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that happens going forward. The thing is currently in our current situation, we have to keep moving forward with our development. And the development of season 3 and the fulfillment of season 2 are very separate things. So season 2 fulfillment is down the pipe, right? It's moving along, it's going well, but it takes time. There were some hangups quite a while ago, which have been resolved since, but they're still affecting us right now. And so it's just panned out that way, which I'm sorry. We don't want it to be like that, but currently that's the way it is. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly for you guys. But yeah, with that out of the way, Aaron, do you want to talk about EU friendly?
Yeah, so we are going to be EU friendly for this season, but that means something a little different than it used to mean. Before, it used to mean we were able to circumvent that, but with import laws changing in the EU, we aren't going to be able to circumvent that. We're still going to have you pay that, but what we can guarantee is that the process is going to be pretty seamless, and there's not going to be import issues that you're going to have to manually resolve.
Right.
But yeah, I think that calling anything in shipping friendly is a bit of a misnomer. It's all a bit of a hassle, but yes, we will be able to get you the games if you want to pick them up.
Yep. Okay, and with those two things out of the way, let's talk about Peasant, the first class in Crossroads. So I want to just give a brief overview of the vibe of Peasant. So Peasant is really what you'd expect. They're down in the dirt. We've got all these other classes. You've got warrior, you've got wizard, you've got archers, you've got brigands who are stealing stuff from people. But then there's just the peasants. They're just doing their thing, and they're doing it the best they can. They're going to use a menagerie of weapons. They don't have a unified fighting style. And a lot of their mechanics boil down to them just more or less getting lucky when they're fighting their opponents. Perhaps the lady has a hand in that. Perhaps they're just getting incredibly lucky. Who can say? But they're also very just simply stubborn. They just refuse to go down. And that manifests in some really, really fun ways in a lot of their different mechanics. And one of the primary ways that manifests is in the luck mechanic. So Aaron, you want to talk to us a little bit about how luck works?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Can you go ahead and pull out the luck token on the stream, and I'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
So, one of the things we want to do when we make cards and classes and characters in Evian is we want to find ways to put variance into the game. It may sound a little unintuitive because this is a card game, there's lots of randomness already, but one of the things we've noticed is by baseline with Evian, the game is very consistent, and having ways to shake up, the play patterns and add some of that variance or randomness back in is something we look forward and we look for and try to add. So that's kind of the start of that's one of the things we're looking for when making a mechanic. We want things that add variance, and you'll see that in a couple of character classes and specs that you'll see along the way.
Luck is a huge part about this season, right? Like, luck is probably the most universal mechanic that everyone gets access to. There's some characters that care about it more, like Peasant, but yeah, more or less everyone can have luck.
And another thing that we want to do, now we are making classes that share a color with other classes. Like, we are now making the second gray class. Yeah. We want to start making it matter that it's not just that it's warrior, it's that it's gray, and there are some unifying themes that these colors can do. Basically, the concept of a colored pie from Magic the Gathering. Mm-hmm. And one of those things we want to do with gray is limited access to healing. And we wanted to make a mechanic that was defensive, but didn't use healing, and was kind of a different way to have that sort of soft defense. And so we started messing around with the idea of having, what if there was a coin you could flip? Because, we've got peasants, they're lucky, they're plucky, that sounds kind of fun. And we went through a couple of, before even getting into beta testing or alpha testing, really, we had a couple of versions of luck tokens we wanted to try. The very first one, do you remember what it was, Aislyn? It was you just flipped one, and then if it was one side, it did nothing. If it was the other, it countered it or something?
I think so, yeah. It was so all or nothing. It was way too intense.
It was a really feel-bad mechanic, and so we worked on that. We ended up in a really nice spot. Mm-hmm. So here's what luck does. When an enemy plays a card targeting you,
yep,
you can use, as a response, a luck token. Now, until the luck token, the only way you could respond before is by playing a card. Now, there's an additional type of reaction you can make, which is flipping a luck token. And when you flip a luck token, you do what it does. Go ahead and flip that luck token, Aislyn.
Yeah, let's see what we get.
So.
Oh, we got Rooster.
There are two sides to the luck token. There's Clover and Rooster.
Yep.
If you flip Rooster, you meta counter the card that they played targeting you. So it would fizzle, and they would get refunded the resources they spent to play it, unless they spend an additional resource. So it's a really soft disruption effect.
It's just a really soft tax. You just have to spend one more action or power, or your card gets meta-countered.
And if you flip Clover, you just gain a power. And that power can go beyond your maximum. If you're already at 5 and you flip a Clover, you can go up to 6.
Yep.
So pretty much what this ends up meaning is that when you get a luck, it is always going to be a one resource advantage.
Yeah.
Unless your opponent chooses to if you flip Rooster, have their card get disrupted, and then it is card advantage.
Some kind of card advantage, yeah. It's an interesting mechanic. It plays out really well. It's on a lot of the cards in the set. It really helps smooth a lot of the cards in the set. And then there are some ways that you can benefit pretty substantially by having a lot of luck. Like other tokens, there's a max of 5 luck, and it is very possible to get to 5 luck if your deck is, built around being lucky. And at that point, you're going to have a lot of tax. You're going to put a lot of pressure on your opponent. Attacking you is going to be harder because 50% of the time when they try to hit you, you're just going to say, well, you have to pay an extra resource, which really adds up, right? It can become pretty intense. It also helps smooth out your own deck's economy. So generally speaking, you don't have to put quite as much power generation into your deck if you have luck, because you're going to be getting some of that back from your luck too.
Yeah. And playing against luck, it ends up basically meaning you kind of always have to have an extra resource in reserve just in case they flip Rooster, and you're never going to just go all out on an attack.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the right move, and it's just a 50-50 shot on whether or not you win the game. That definitely can happen.
It can happen. I personally think it's really fun when that happens, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree. It can make for some very exciting games.
Yeah.
It's a very soft resource advantage that the peasant has, and an important detail for it, since these are peasants, they're from the same realm as our first season, Calabria.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted them to have a fun, interactive mechanic that works with chivalry, and since flipping a luck token isn't playing a card, it doesn't dishonor the code of chivalry.
Yeah.
So this also adds some fun backwards compatibility and kind of synergy with Knight.
You can be
and
a lucky
the
knight.
Saint archetypes. Yeah.
Yeah. You can be a plucky peasant knight.
Let's take a look at some ways that we can generate luck.
Really quickly, Lounging Wizard asks, you can't flip multiple luck tokens on one attack, right? That's correct. You cannot. It is your reaction. So if you choose to flip a luck token when an opponent plays a card against you, you also can't respond with a card at that point because flipping the luck token was your reaction. And vice versa is true. If you want to play an instant card in response, you can't flip a luck token in response to that card as well. It's either or. But yeah, sorry. We want to talk about some peasant cards?
Yeah, let's take a look at some ways you can generate luck.
Sure. Let's see. What's a fun way to generate luck? I would say Ruffle's pretty fun. Where's Ruffle? There it is. So, oops. Ruffle. So a big theme of peasants is chickens. So the Crossroads are, there's a lot of farms, there's a lot of animals, and the peasants love their animals, and sometimes they need to use their animals to fend off their would-be aggressors. In this case, we have Walter the chicken here, who is going to be, it's a pretty basic card, it's just a -1/+1, range 2, disarms to the opponent, but you also gain a luck token. Really, really basic. But it's just a good example of there are a lot of effects that are going to be in the set and they're just going to have luck in addition, which really starts to build up pressure in your favor. And as we can see, Walter is absolutely going to demolish whoever he's about to...
Actually, can we get a closer up on Walter? Can you hold Alt and then scroll up, Aislyn?
There you go. Walter's got that
is Ruffle.
Deadly look in his eyes. He's gonna absolutely slam his victim. You got a card, Aaron, you want to show?
Let's see. There's so many good ones. I'd say let's do Rest.
Rest? Yeah. Okay. So, Rest is a wonderful card as well. This is a very staple card for Peasant that a lot of different characters will probably end up using if you're going to splash into Peasant and you just want to take some cards from it, this is definitely one of the cards you're going to be thinking about. It's going to be at the top of your head well, if I go Peasant, I could take Rest. Do you want to talk about this card a little bit?
1 second, I got a kitten attacking my knee.
Attack. We recently got 2 kittens and they are rambunctious, to say the least.
You are a little rascal. Here, okay. 1 second. We're getting a protective blanket on because he's going to town. He loves his denim.
Oh yeah, he does love denim.
All right. So,
do you wanna don't leave our viewers hanging. Is Lewis still around? Can you hold him up to the camera?
Oh, he just hopped down now. He wasn't happy that I got up. Well.
Oh, okay.
Well, they'll probably be up here soon enough.
We'll get another opportunity.
So, this is Rest.
Yep.
So, Rest is one of my favorite cards, and I think one of the staple peasant cards in competitive play, I think. Most people... It's a -1/+1 heroic, which is first off, just a great cost.
Definitely.
It ends your turn, and then it rewards you for not playing cards. Again, flipping luck isn't going to contribute towards this, so you can flip as much luck as you'd like while resting. Yep. But if you can follow through with that and not play anything, take a nap, it gives you back the action, gives you an initiative and another luck. So it ends up being a really good setup card. And when we get to explore some of the other peasant specializations, we will kind of see how needing a setup turn can be very valuable.
For sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Oh.
What
There he is.
next?
There's the boy.
Oh, Lewis. Oh, hello, Lewis. He's such a cutie. He's so cuddly, too. All right. What's another card that we show off? Oh, my God. This card is wonderful. Bale. First of all, as you guys have probably already seen, the art for Bale is great. This peasant is just grabbing a brigand who was trying to steal something, presumably, and just going to slam him straight into a hay barrow.
So let's actually talk a bit about some of the new things we see on this card.
Yeah, for sure. So
go ahead.
You might notice that the range icon looks a bit different from other cards. Let's see. Yeah, so Ruffle's range icon, which is the green 2 in the top left, looks a bit different from Bale's range icon. So we've got this, we've got that like little arrow, and the colors are inverted. That means that this card has reach, which is redundantly in the text box as well. Aaron, how does reach work? What does that mean?
Yeah, so we have it in the card there, but you can draw range diagonally once. So any of you who have played it, you know that everything in the game is orthogonal.
Yeah.
Tiles diagonal to each other are considered range 2 away. Reach bends that. Means that when you're drawing range, you can once while drawing range, measure diagonally. So that means if you're in the center of the board, you can hit someone in the corner. And it means that it kind of ends up playing a bit like range 1.5.
Yeah. Because
it means that a peasant versus a range 1 character really wants to be playing on the diagonal where they get that range bonus. And then against a range 2 character, they want to be playing right next to and directly adjacent so that the range 2 character has less area to move. It ends up being a very, very solid buff to cards. You really feel the reach. And I think that's especially true in Bale, which can absolutely somersault someone into a different position.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it hits like a truck. This card, -2, +2 deals 7, and travel them to wherever you want. Almost always it's just putting somebody in a corner. It's incredible.
It is very good. Also, hey, Gustavo, and thank you, Karai. Let's actually do an example really quick. So, let me just pull in some of the miniatures. Oh, I'm not supposed to do this.
Hold on. Oh, okay.
I forgot I'm not supposed to do that.
Here, let's just use the season.
Yeah, I'll just use the season 2 miniatures for now. Please ignore that these are not the new miniatures. So, reach. Let's just talk about it really quick. So this card has range 1. Usually that would mean that you need to be right here to be able to hit, but because it has reach, if your opponent was right there and you were right here, you can count that one range diagonally because of reach.
So Lounging Wizard asks a question. I think that's a pretty good question. No, so every time you measure range, you can include the diagonal. It means that you can't... So, like, if we ever had a range... If you had a way to modify a reach card that have range 2, you couldn't target the entire board. You can only, when figuring out a target, count diagonally once.
I should just keep the camera still. Yeah, so if you had a range 2 reach card, like, you'd be able to hit them if they were here. Because you could be like... boop, and then count diagonally once over to there.
Right.
So the fun thing about Bale is because it has reach, usually you'd only be able to travel them one tile because you have to target the tile. So like if they were here, you could travel them like here. You could throw them over you and travel them here, here, here. But because it has reach, you can just yeet them over here as well, diagonally, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this mechanic, Bale is a really important card as well because it flows really into one of the other archetypes that we want to support in Peasant. And Peasant is very good at a couple things. It's good at being tanky with luck and a couple damage reduction cards. And it's also very good. It has quite a few tile modifiers. Let's take a look at Watchtower.
Yes, Watchtower. This is a great card.
Yeah, how about let's pull out Watchtower and Muddy Field.
Muddy Field, sure.
Yeah, let's pull them up into the board right now.
Card special. Oh, up into the board, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get this luck token down here. Okay, so let's take a look at Watchtower here. So, this card is a -1/-1 range 2. Oh, actually, no, it shouldn't have range 2. We need to fix it.
It shouldn't have range 2. Ignore the range 2.
It should not have a range. It attaches to the tile you're in. And at the end of your turn, you deal 3 damage to and slow 1 each opponent within 2 tiles. So that's pretty weird because usually attached cards we have do something to the tiles near them. Watchtower it's a big watchtower and they can shoot from it, so they have a longer range. Range 2 is huge on the board. Like when something's creating a radius of range 2, you are going to be able to bot people from super far away.
Lounging Wizard says wild magic at home, and while at first blush you're right, I can assure you that Watchtower has needed to be aggressively bumped down to where it's at right now. This is a very strong part of a control archetype, and we'll kind of see some of the ways that Peasant gets to make this extra good in a little bit.
Like we'll show Toil.
Well, yeah, in a little bit we'll show Toil and Muddy Field and Shovel, but let's take a look at Muddy Field.
Yeah.
So we saw that Bale, right? Well, one of the greatest things to bail people into is Muddy Field. The ability to if you send somebody into a Muddy Field, they're instantly going to have to be dealing with 4 slow.
Yep.
It may be over 2 instances of slow 2, but
it's a lot.
It is a good feeling to use Bale to travel somebody from a Muddy Field into another Muddy Field.
Oh yeah, it can be quite devastating. So yeah, Peasant definitely has like a attached card sub-theme. That's a big part of them. Let's take a look at Shovel and Toil, which kind of support this attached theme.
Right.
Let's get these guys into the showcase area. Okay. So, first of all, let's look at Shovel. So this is just a normal attack for the most part. It's a -1/+1. It's a range 1 with reach. It deals 4 damage to target enemy and stuns them. And that's all well and good. But you can alternatively, if Shovel's in your hand and you play an attach card that you target a tile near yourself with, you can discard Shovel to reduce its cost by an action or a power. And that can be really, really useful for cards in Peasant like Watchtower, but it can also, of course, be super useful with cards in other classes or specializations. So this is a way that Peasant is offering your entire deck like synergy with attached cards.
Yeah, this card, also just a reach, 4 damage and stun is a very solid card.
Yeah.
Being able to use it as an extra action means if you're managing your hand correctly, you can definitely eke out some pretty significant resource advantage just with Shovel, because it's making your Watchtower not cost actions, which is incredible.
Very good, for sure. But really, the belle of the ball in terms of synergy is probably Toil. Do you want to talk about Toil, Aaron?
What?
You want to talk about Toil?
Yeah, so Toil is the third, I guess, tutor effect that we've put into the game. Very simply, you can search your deck for an attached card and play it for free in a tile next to you. This also means that Toil gets around the wording for Watchtower only being able to be played in the tile you're in.
Yep.
If something has to be played a certain number of tiles away from you, Toil overrides that. You just attach it to an empty tile adjacent to you. This is one of the premier reasons to go into Peasant if you're doing attached stuff, because nobody is able to just construct stuff quite like a Peasant.
For sure. They've just got so much spunk and grit, and no one's going to stop them. They win through sheer determination and hard work. That's their style.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't just attach cards and luck cards, though. There's another card that I think is a really, really good, like, synergistic card that people are often going to be looking for when they think about picking Peasant, and I think it's Stubborn. What do you think?
I think Stubborn is one of our premier Peasant cards. One of the things we try to do when we make a class is make sure that archetype has some cards that are above rate compared to what other classes can do.
Yeah.
And one of the best reasons to go into Peasant is Stubborn.
For sure. Yeah, and so, disclaimer, we don't have the art for Stubborn yet. Please forgive us. It just has a placeholder. It looks like the Toil art. It's not Toil, though. So, Stubborn. This card is a 0-2. It attaches to yourself. It gives you a luck, which is kind of nice. You know, that means that it kind of, sort of costs 1 power. Kind of. But you take 1 less damage whenever you take damage for the first time in a turn. And that may not seem like a huge amount, but oh my gosh, if you can get a Stubborn out before you get hit, that thing can block so much damage throughout the game. There are also some...
A good rule of thumb in Evian is, in a game where there's so few static effects, things that are persistent are premium, and a persistent, essentially one damage prevention each turn, ends up racking up like 6 or 7 HP in the course of a game if it's played early.
Yeah.
It is a huge swing, and it's heroic, and it gives you a luck. Stubborn is fantastic.
It's absolutely great. There are a couple of more cards I want to show, but I will be done after that. I'm not going to show every single card in the class. We're going to do a dive, and we'll have card lists, so you guys can review them all. Are there any more cards you want to show, Aaron?
Well, let's see. I think that there is... I'm thinking about ones we have art for.
Sure.
I think Grumble's pretty fun, but...
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Then there's, Happy Days?
Yeah, I want to show Happy Days.
Yeah, let's do that, and we'll get a good 10 of the 20.
Yes, Lounging Wizard, Stubborn can reduce damage to 0, which is part of why it's so good, too. All right, let's show Grumble. Grumble, this is one of the Peasant interaction cards. So another low-cost card, 0-2. Peasants aren't that great at stopping these incredibly powerful sorcerers or these wily brigands from doing their things, but at least they can grumble about it, right? They can...
Yeah,
they can be like, stealing my stuff again. Okay.
Peasants don't so much have a hard answer to... They don't have an answer to threats, like something that's just going to say no, but they'll nickel and dime you to death.
Oh, yeah.
For anyone who's been playing since Season 0, if you remember Ego Shock, this is the same thing. It's 0-1, little counterspell. You just throw it out, fire and forget. And with the luck token, you are either making this essentially cost 0 resources to play, or you are making it also disrupt another card unless they pay another resource.
Yeah, it can really start an avalanche, or keep an avalanche of small pressure, resource taxation effects going.
As somebody whose main deck runs Superstition in their feat zone, I am all over having another tax card I can play with the power I generate from Superstition.
Yeah, for sure. Karari, this could not follow up a luck flip. So a luck flip replaces your reaction. So, like, let's say your opponent played a card against you. You could respond with either a luck flip or a card. So you could, like, play Grumble in response to the opponent playing a card against you. And then at that point, you have a luck token. So if they play another card against you, you could then, against the next card, respond by flipping a luck. So it can kind of cascade, sort of. But yeah, so I would love to show the way that Peasant has some pretty sweet synergy with luck. Most characters don't have like super crazy synergy with luck, but Peasant is all about luck. They love luck. So this is one of their best ways to actually capitalize on that. Happy Days. So this card costs 3 power. It gives you 2 luck, right off the bat. So if you don't have any luck, you can play Happy Days and you'll still get to benefit from what it's doing. You attach it to yourself so it stays out on the board. And then, just forever, unless someone destroys this card, when you flip a luck token each turn as a reaction, you get to flip an additional luck from the supply. And what from the supply means is it's not from your personal cache of luck. It's just from, like, your token pool, like in your box. Like, it's just from outside the game. You get to flip another luck token. So you can potentially meta counter their card unless they spend 2 resources, or gain 1 power and meta counter unless they pay 1, or gain 2 power. So it's just so much extra resource taxing, and heaven forbid you get 2 or 3 of these out onto the battlefield. You kind of become untouchable. Just going about your day, living a happy life. Look at all these people who are trying to attack this peasant. We have an archer who tries to fire a bow and misses. We have a brigand who tries to attack, but turnips fall on his head. You have an executioner who is about to miss his swing. This guy's just living his life.
Yeah,
He's just
he
having
has
a
no
great
idea
time.
what's going on.
Yeah, nothing's wrong. Everything is perfect.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who might be thinking that Ivian has jumped shark because of adding Peasant as their next grade class, we did in fact name this Happy Days as a tribute to the original Jumping the Shark show.
Oh my gosh.
Just as a fun little nod to that.
Yeah. I feel like honestly in this day and age, that's a pretty deep cut.
It is. It is.
Yes. Lounging Wizard asks, does luck flip on any card that targets you? So you get to choose. You don't have to flip a luck token, but you can. So you get that choice whenever someone targets you with a card. It's up to you. So you can save it, you can just spend it all. If you have a lot of luck, you should probably flip luck every single time. But if you don't have a lot of luck and you're waiting to try and mess up their resource economy in a different way, you might not want to flip luck every time.
And when we take a look at Friar, we'll see there are some cards that might make you want to do something different with luck or save them and not use them. So,
right.
Yeah, there are a couple reasons, but generally, if you don't have an instant you want to play, flipping the luck is almost always worth it. But sometimes you want to save it just to force them to not really be able to spend all of their resources.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so I think we're going to be good with that for now, because I also want to get this up on YouTube, so I don't want it to be insane.
Well, we've got some traits to take a look at.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Okay, let's get through some traits. Let's not show off every single trait. Let's let's each pick one. How about that?
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, let's each pick one. I know which I'll pick, but I need to think of a second if you pick mine.
Let's just start with yours, and I'll think.
Okay, so there's a lot of these don't have art. Another disclaimer, but they will soon. So I think my favorite new addition that the Peasant Associated Traits is bringing to the game is local. It's absolutely crazy. So the flavor of this card is going to be that you're a local of the area. You know it well. You already have things set up here. Like, for example, maybe you already have some watchtowers set up here. Maybe the fields are muddy here. You've got the lay of the land. Or maybe you're an invoker and, oh yeah, there's some chaos magic over there. That's fine. But yeah, so this card really rewards you building an attached card deck. And it kind of sets you up for like a random first turn. You look at the top 8. You attach any number of unique cards from among them to that many target empty tiles within range 2. So the more unique attached cards you can put into your deck with local, the more potential value you're going to get out of this right at the start of the game, and just hit the ground running really hard and potentially put your opponent in a really bad position right out of the gate.
Is Grim off limits to show?
Yeah, no, we should show that with Executioner.
All right, well, that's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just want to show this one off because I love the art.
Sure.
I think you know what it is.
Oh, yes, I think I do. Please, show us.
So, as we had talked about before, there's a bit of a rooster chicken theme in Avian. Oh, I'm a spectator right now. You're gonna have to pull that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm almost positive I know. Oh no, we don't have the art on here.
Oh, we don't have it?
No, we don't.
Oh, well then we're not gonna show it. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
How about you know what? Barley Chew. Let's talk about Barley Chew, and let's talk about what makes a feat good.
Sure.
So,
Barley Chew.
One of the things we introduced in the first trait pack in Season 2 was Charged. That is now going to be a baseline mechanic.
Yep.
That we're going to have on traits. Charged is simple. You put that many charges on your trait at the start of the game, and every time you use it, you remove one. And when you remove one, and when you're out, you can't use it. So,
like so.
Barley Chew is it's a 0+1 now?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was your suggestion.
Dang, I'm really good at this. Yeah. So, Barley Chew is a 0+1 heroic, 3 free power, and it is not a complicated effect, but being able to have guaranteed power generation that's heroic is incredible. Yeah. For starters, it smooths out the start of your game in so many ways.
Yep.
But also, if you have a bunch of control on you, one of the most important things for determining if you can safely get out of that control is if you have power. It is usually terrible. It is usually very bad to have to burn actions to get rid of control.
Yeah, for sure.
So, having a heroic way of guaranteeing power is a super nice bit of safety that you have access to. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, look at that man. That guy's just got grinder profile pick energy, and he's excellent.
Yeah, I suppose he kind of does.
That's one of the benefits of running this card. You just get to be handsome.
That's true. Absolute Chad. So I think something that's really deceptive about the power of Barley Chew is that you'll often be compelled to just play it each turn because it's like, why wouldn't I play? I just gain a power. But if you wait strategically to play it when you're in a bad position from a resource perspective, like someone gets a bunch of control on you and you're like, I'm like out of power. You can play Barley Chew to gain some power to maybe pay off your control if you need to at a time where you would otherwise be in a really bad spot in the game. So,
and it also protects it from stuff like stun or other ways to lose resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just extra power that's like stored in your trait, which is pretty nice.
So, I think before we move on and call the stream for now, I think we should let's share some, I guess, some fun insights into the development of Peasant.
Sure.
What I was wanting to share was one of the biggest challenges that we had with Peasant. I think Peasant was probably one of the hardest classes for us to design for this season. And I think the big reason for that is Warrior. Making Warrior in Season 2 is a very tough act to follow from a competitive standpoint, because just for doing raw Evian things like attacks and counters, very, very hard to match just the throughput that Warrior can do. So we spent a lot of time in Peasant figuring out how do we make something that is unique from Warrior and does a different thing and is just as good. We had to do several rounds of revisions, and I will say I think we finally landed on something that is very much a serious contender for the slot compared
Yeah, I
to
mean,
Warrior.
Warrior is just a tough act to follow. It's just an extremely powerful class that's used in a lot of different decks. It kind of dominates the range 1 meta, at least with what people have currently figured out. And so it was funny because, like, warriors are cool, right? Like, warriors are strong, warriors are powerful. And then we were like, okay, so how do we make a peasant, which is, intentionally not cool and not powerful, at least like thematically, right? Like they're peasants. So like, how do we make that still feel unique and just as fun as a warrior? And that was really hard. I think peasant was like the hardest class for us to design, but we really did get there. I'm really proud of it, and I think it's super fun. I love peasant. I love how silly it is. I love how good they are at just evading damage and stopping people from taking them out and it feels effortless, right? Because of the way luck works. It feels like you're just doing these things and you're just getting lucky. Like you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna waltz in here and hopefully everything works out. And then it does, and then it's great. So I really like peasant. It's super good. I think there are a lot of really fun decks you can make with peasant. And it does feel very distinct from warrior too, which is great.
Absolutely. So what else are we putting out today? I think we're getting Peasant on Tabletop Simulator later this afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah,
so it's going to be on TTS. You guys are going to be able to review all of these cards and make some Tabletop Simulator decks with them. We haven't obviously revealed any of the new Crossroads specializations yet, so if you want to make a deck with Peasant, you're of course going to need to use an older specialization for now, but you're not going to have to wait very long because we're going to do our first specialization reveal for the Friar on Thursday, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, after that we'll be putting a update out, kind of just covering Peasant in a just text form for people who want to take a look at that. Once we start getting some specializations, so starting with the next stream, that Friar stream Aislyn mentioned, we'll be playing some games with them, and you'll kind of get to see the cards in action.
Yeah.
But since we just have the one class, we're going to wait until our first specialization reveal before we get started.
Yep, absolutely. Lounging Wizard says, big Hobbit vibes. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. For sure. Like, especially with luck. Like, I know luck is represented as, like, a Hobbit thing in a lot of games. And I suppose in Evian, like, this is kind of that version. Harari says, I love stacks and control, and adding a luck element makes it feel fair without leaving your opponent with bad vibes if you meta counter. Yeah,
if you end up playing a card into them having luck and you're out of resources, that's on you.
I mean, you either like weren't paying attention or you very consciously were like, I need this 50-50 chance. And if you fail, I mean, at that point, that's what it is. But I love those situations. Like the situations where someone's like, I have to try to play this card, even though there's a 50% chance it's just going to fail. Yeah. Those gameplay moments are really fun because that means that there was so much strategy and counterplay and back and forth throughout the game that got you guys into that position in the first place. So it's just very indicative of like a really fun, intense battle.
Multiple copies of Happy Days do stack. It would be on that first luck token you flip. You would flip one token plus a number from the supply equal to the amount of Happy Days that you have.
Which does mean if you are the happiest person alive and you have 3 Happy Days, the first time you'd flip a luck token, you get to flip a total of 4 against the card. Which, if you have 3 Happy Days out on the field at that point, you are probably going to win the game because you spent 9 power and 3 cards on that. It usually doesn't pan out that way, but someday you might become the happiest person alive, and no one will be able to stop you. Really, that's what Evian teaches you. If you are happy, nothing can stop you.
That's true.
That's the way it goes.
All right. Final. Thank you all for backing. And yeah, let's have an awesome campaign, folks.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll have a stream Thursday for Friar, and like Aaron said, we'll play, and it's going to be great. Catch you guys later. Okay.
Now you want to swap the stream.
Oh,
The scene.
I stopped streaming before I.
Okay.